Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish, especially magnetic nail polish. Like I really do enjoy magnetic nail polish, even at times when it can be a little bit difficult to work with, like these fine particle magnetics that have brought us together today. Okay, so to start with, if you are newer to nail polish or even newer to magnetic nail polish specifically, you're like, hey, what do I mean when I say fine particle magnetic nail polish? Like it's at least from what I've been seeing, it's a relatively newer type of magnetic nail polish that many indie makers are beginning to use, where the magnetic particles that are within the polish are finer, meaning smaller, and leading to an overall magnetized look that appears more like, it appears softer, it appears more plush. It looks like velour, like a velour tracksuit or something like that. And so you may think, okay, that's cool, awesome, right? Yes, but one of the things that I know many others have found when working with fine particle magnetic nail polish is that it can be difficult to work with. It can be so tricky to try to figure out, like, okay, well, why is this not doing what I want it to do? Why is it so jumpy and things like that? Okay, so that's kind of the gist of what fine particle magnetic nail polish is. So the other thing I want to just kind of set the scene for is, why have I decided to make a video about this? Well, for a while now, I've been doing a series on like my favorite toppers, including most recently my favorite types of magnetic toppers, including those from Fancy Gloss. In case you missed that video, I'll put a link to it in the description so that you can check it out. All of the ones that were in that video are what I would consider to be like, the regular kind of magnetic nail polish topper. Fancy Gloss also has a line of fine particle magnetic toppers. Those are the ones that I believe most, if not all of them, have the word pull in it, like celestial pull, astral pull, I think is one of those. And so a little bit ago, I had sat down to film that video of like, hey, here, so I've done the video on like the regular Fancy Gloss magnetic toppers. Now let me do the video on Fancy Gloss's fine particle ones. And I got so frustrated. Now to be clear, this is not against Fancy Gloss. This is their magnetics and all of their polishes that I have from them have incredible formulas. This is something that I experience with any kind of fine particle magnetics, and it just so happened that Fancy Gloss was the brand that I was the first brand that I was doing a video for fine particle magnetic toppers about. And I was just like, as I get to my nail desk and go through the different recommendations that I have, it'll become clearer, and I'll explain a little bit more about like why I had to stop filming that video. But I was like, that never happens for me. Like I got about halfway through filming that video, and I was just like, I've got to scrap this for now, because this is just not working. And I sat and thought about it for a bit. And one of the things that came to me is something that is for me at least, one of the most important lessons that I learned as an educator as I was going through my teacher training program many years ago, which is when it comes to lesson planning, it's very important to ensure that you don't try to cram too many separate lessons into a single one. Because then, like in the context of when I was teaching middle school, if I am teaching a single lesson to my middle school students, but I'm trying to cover too many things, it becomes like a cognitive overload. Also, the points may not come through clearly. It can be jumping all over the place. And I paused and thought and realized that's exactly what I was doing there, where I was going through the process of showing these different fine particle magnetic toppers from Fancy Gloss. And then also, as I was going through the video, also like trying to give tips for like, okay, so here's like some suggestions for how to work with fine particle magnetics. I'm just like, nope. Both of these topics are very valid, but I gotta separate them out because otherwise it was messy. So what I decided to do was to film this video first, so that when I do go back and redo that Fancy Gloss video, I won't have to then try to, keep interjecting. Oh yeah, here's a tip for this, here's a tip for that. Like I might be able to, there might be times when I say like, yeah, here's a brief suggestion for this, but instead of me having to pause and like explain everything in that moment for how to work through something, I can just say, hey, there's a link to the video for all the tips, check that out, come back here, it's gonna be great. Okay, so I think I forget how many, I have them listed out, but yeah, I'm excited to take you all through this journey of some of the recommendations that I have for working with fine particle magnetics. I think there's two last things I want to mention before I get over to my nail desk. One of which being that some of these recommendations, I think I've ordered them in a way where the ones that are towards the end of the list, and I'll mention which ones these are when I get to them. Some of these recommendations are actually ones that can apply to working with any kind of magnetic nail polish, whether it's fine particle, regular, topper, non-topper, magnetic, whatever. But because I know that there's many people who will be watching this video who have sought this video out because of it being for fine particle magnetics, and because I don't think I have a video that's just about like magnetic tips in general, I figure, hey, let me include all those tips in there so that people can get all the recommendations that I have. And then the other last thing that I'll mention is that, these are just the things that I have found that work for me personally. I think for any kind of nail polish technique, you can ask like 10 different people what their preferred way is of doing something, and you'll get like 10 different opinions on that. So, what I encourage you to do is use this video as one source of recommendations for what can help you as you are working with fine particle magnetics. I know the Reddit Lacqueristas subreddit also has a lot of recommendations there. I would say just go there, do a search for fine particle magnetics, and you'll find plenty of threads where people are sharing their ideas and recommendations. So just putting that out there in case someone's like, oh, why do you say this? But because everyone knows you do it this way. I'm like, there's a number of different ways to do it, lots of trial and error. But I would encourage any of you who have also been struggling with fine particle magnetics, please feel free to pull out some swatch sticks. Normally I say, or a swatch wheel. It will become very evident in a moment why I did not say swatch wheel this time around. Y'all trust me, sticks, not wheel this time. That's what did me in on that Fancy Gloss video. And we're gonna have some fun. So let's get magnetizing. As always, I like to begin by quickly showing you what's on my nails. Today, I know I say I love dark vampy red polish, and today is no exception. Today, this is one of my untried polishes. It's a, really dark red magenta berry-like flake polish from Rogue Lacquer called Dracula. Y'all know how I feel about vampires. Okay, so this is a really interesting one because when I got this in the mail, and when you see pictures of it, when you just see it kind of off to the side in low lighting, it reads very red. But then when you take a look at it, especially with lighting like this, you see how it's got more of a magenta kind of vibe in there. So that's one thing I wanted to call out with this. And so also it is a very thick flake polish, and in a jelly base, right? So with these kinds of polishes, it can sometimes take like 2, if not 3 coats to build up to the level of opacity that I would prefer. But because of how thick this is, I'm like, I don't want all that polish building up on my nails. So what I decided to do was to use a similar looking cream polish as a base to give me full opacity. So I started with 1 coat of Zoya's Lisa, and you know this, it's like, it's red, but this is not like a true cherry apple red or anything like that. This is more of a slight magenta berry leaning red that is very similar, or very similar to the flakes that are in Dracula. So what I ended up doing overall was, 1 coat of Lisa, then only 1 coat of Dracula, and from there, y'all, this is a very thirsty. Dracula's thirsty. I mean, I don't know if that was the intent of, the maker from Rogue Lacquer to be like, hey, Dracula likes drinking a lot, so hey, let's make that part of this. So I'm saying I put on 1 coat of a glitter smoother, let that dry, and then followed it up with not just 1 but 2 coats of top coat. Now I let the top coats dry down completely flat and then followed it up, and now I can see it's giving me like more of a plump look that I would like. But so just in closing here before we move on, if you are looking for more ways to get more use out of your cream polishes, I would encourage you to try to see ways that you can combine them with flake polishes like this, where you essentially end up using the flake polish as a topper. That way you get the benefit of getting more use out of your cream polishes, and then also by only using like 1 coat of Dracula for this, as opposed to like 3 coats, this polish, for instance, is going to last me a lot longer than if I had only like built this up on its own. So Dracula. Yo, I really do not, like, when I have moments like this, I do not plan this stuff out. This is, if you were to hang out with me for like a lunch or something, I'd be doing all the same stuff. This is just me. Okay, so let's get into some fine particle magnetic tips. The first one that I want to talk about is paint your nails in a different order so that you're leaving more space between them. Now, in the beginning when I said use swatch sticks for today, if you're following along, and not swatch wheel, let me explain why. Now, as you all know, I typically use a swatch wheel whenever I'm doing swatch videos. I find it's really helpful, especially for times when I want to do some comparisons and to have things lined up together like that. But here's what was happening when I was doing my fine particle swatching. I would start with, like, let's say I was using this swatch right here and I would magnetize it, and then it's like, okay, cool. And then I would go on to the next one, and I would wait like, sometimes I wait like 5-10 minutes in between nails. I sometimes get distracted as I'm filming, it's no problem. But like, even once that amount of time had passed, then when I would go and magnetize like the nail next to it, it would still affect this first nail. So I would be trying to magnetize this one and get this to have like a cat eye look to it. But then this one would get messed up because it wasn't getting the full like pull from the magnet that was over here. Like, I've got a magnet, let me demonstrate. So like if I'm trying to magnetize this one right here, this one was picking up just ever so slightly, and it was just looking real wonky. So that was a big part of what made me just be like, I need to stop. So let's talk about my hand. Or your hand, however you choose to magnetize. Now, the way that I personally paint my nails is that whether I'm doing magnetics or just any kind of polish, I start with so I'm right-handed. I start by painting my left hand, going from my pinky all the way over to my thumb, and then I paint my right hand. And the way that I do this, I know some people do it where they do everything for a single finger at a time and then move on to the next, but like, what I'll do, I'll put on base coat for all the fingers. Then I'll go back and do the first coat for all the fingers, you know, moving that way. And that's fine. That works fine for me when I'm doing like a cat eye or velvet or whatever kind of magnetization for just regular magnetic polish. But what I would say I think has been helpful for me in working with fine particle magnetics is to leave more space between them. So instead of me going from here to here to here, what I'll do is I'll still start with my pinky, but then I'll skip the ring finger, and then the next finger that I magnetize will be my middle finger. And then I'll do my thumb, and then I'll do my ring finger, and then I'll do my index finger. And that will get me the cycle of like, all 5 fingers being on the same page. And then I'll go back and repeat, and it's like, even then I try to keep my fingers spread apart as wide as I comfortably can. It's nothing's ever going to be completely perfect. Magnets are flying through the air or what. I'm not a physicist, so like, don't quote me for science or anything like that. But like, I think that if you are more intentional about leaving some more space in between your fingers, that can absolutely help to make it so that when you're magnetizing this finger, these two here are not being affected, which, as you can see on a swatch wheel, like it's just a little bit too close there. So that would be tip number 1. The next tip that I have is to use the magnetic polish as a topper, even if it's not technically considered to be a topper. In short, the reason that I recommend this is that if you are only using it as a topper and with some kind of solid color underneath, like I'll show you here in just a moment, what this will do is get you a really good finished look still, but with you only having to use a single coat of that fine particle magnetic polish, as opposed to like if you were to put one coat of it down first and then wait for that to dry and then go back with a second coat. For some reason, I have found that when I put multiple coats of a fine particle magnetic polish on top of each other, they just do not get along. It just becomes very difficult for me to work with. So I'll come back to this one in a second. I'm gonna put, so the way I'm gonna do this tip and some of the other ones throughout this, I kind of want to show you like what it looks like for the strategy that I'm suggesting, and then also what it could look like if I were to not take my advice on that, and if I were to do this in the way that I kind of did before I realized what works best for me. So this is going to be, this stick over here is going to be the way I used to do it. So this one, many of you may recognize from Bee's Knees Lacquer, Blade of the Frontiers. And here is how it looks, like that. So you can kind of see that like soft velour kind of look. So what I'm going to do is start by putting down one coat of Blade of the Frontiers. And I will try not to make too many, like, my husband and I we call this struggle sounds, where like there'll be times when we're just hanging out around the house or something, if it's been like a long week or something, or even better, like when I get back home from one of my dance classes and it's been like a really, really tough one, he'll already be home, but then I'll come to the door, the garage door, and he'll be like, "Hey, welcome home. How was class?" And I'll just be like, just completely nonverbal. So those sounds can also come out as I am working with nail polish in a frustrating way. Okay, so the reason I'm not magnetizing this yet, I know personally, I prefer, regardless of the method here, I prefer to have one coat of something unmagnetized and then put a second coat over it and then magnetize that one. So we're gonna put this one to the side. And now here is the stick that is going to be used for the strategy that I'm recommending, using the magnetic polish as a topper. And typically I do this with, if not like oftentimes black as a cream polish is a really good one for me to use. But then if there are times when I have like a darker color polish that is maybe close to black, but also closer to the color of the polish, like you see we've got a dark blue and a dark blue. This one that I have is from Color Club, one of my favorite cream polishes. Nighttime is the right time. So I've put down one coat of that here, and now I'm going to put down one coat of Blade of the Frontiers and then magnetize this. Okay. All right. So as I'm doing this, I'll also mention that I thought about whether or not to include anything about like using one of these like magnetic helpers like DRK Magic Effect in this video. In short, I'm not, because I have found that in many cases using that, especially when working with fine particle magnetics and the velvet effect, can be actually make it more difficult to work with the polish. So I'm gonna not use that in this video, but if any of you do have preferences for working with those kind of products with fine particle magnetics, please let me know. Okay, and so here's how Blade of the Frontiers looks over Nighttime is the Right Time. Okay, I'm just gonna put that over there. Y'all should see like how far away from each other I'm keeping these. It kind of reminds me of like, again, when I was a teacher, this time more so when I was teaching 3rd grade, and I would have, as I'm talking, I'm gonna magnetize this one. This would be like when I would have 2 kids who just, were not getting along, and I would have to keep them completely separate from each other because, things would just be, and they would be arguing over sometimes things that were just like, I knew as a teacher that some of the kids were upset with each other, and I'm thinking like, okay, what caused this? Y'all, one time the kids told me they were mad at each other because of a fish stick. I didn't know what to say with that. Just gonna let this sit for just a little bit more. All right. So here's how Blade of the Frontiers looks when I did one coat of Blade of the Frontiers unmagnetized and then one coat of it on top of that magnetized. I mean, I think a lot of it will depend on the kind of overall look that you prefer to have from your polish. I mean, like if you're someone who does prefer more of a like jelly look for your polish, you could absolutely still do this, but instead of using Blade of the Frontiers, for instance, as a topper over a dark cream polish, you could use it over a blue jelly polish. Like I've got this one over here, Blueberry Jam from Blank Beauty could be a good one, for instance. And I would imagine that you could still get the same kind of similar result like this there. Now, I think that, in this case, I know it looks, ignoring like the darkness of the background there, it looks very similar as the result here, yes. But I think that I still would encourage you to explore using your magnetic polish as a topper, just because I know I personally have seen it where if I'm only using a single coat of that magnetic polish per nail, it really does help me to cut down on some of that, some of the difficulties of formula that can exist there. My next suggestion is to use thin coats. Now, those of you who've been watching my channel for a while know, with love, of course, how I have a tendency to be a little heavy-handed when it comes to using polish. And it's a thing for me, right? But I have recognized this, especially when it comes to working with fine particle magnetics and seeing the benefit that comes from working in much thinner coats. For these 2 swatches here, I've started both of them again with one coat of Color Club's Nighttime is the Right Time. This time I am bringing in Bee's Knees Dweller. Ooh, let's try that again. Bee's Knees Lacquer Bog Dweller. Why is that so hard to say? So on the left side is just like before, is going to be the side that shows like the recommended way of doing this, and on the right is going to be here's how I kind of used to do it before I found a better way. So here we go. And I promise I'm not over exaggerating with this. So, and you know, the reason I'm using blue for this, I want to see, like, I know this is green, this is blue. I want to see if I can get like a maybe teal going on here. I saw a post on the Reddit, Lacquer subreddit, about this the other day where someone, I think, put Bog Dweller over blue and it turned out really pretty for them. So let's see how this goes. So this one is the thicker coat. Okay. Now, you see how I haven't fully like filled this in there? This is hard for me to say, but like in some ways, like my instinct is, because of the way that other finishes work, I will go back in and dip for like more polish to put that on. But let me, oh, okay. I mean, it's magnetizing. Okay, so I've magnetized this for about a minute. I do like that kind of mysterious dark blue underneath there. And, you know, it looks okay, but I think it's probably gonna look even better when I do it with a thinner coat. So what I'm gonna do for this one is to probably even like, let me see if I can show you this way. So what I'm gonna do is take the brush out and almost even like swipe off a little bit on the neck of the bottle before I put it on there. So that way it really is not going to be a whole lot. You see the difference there already? Like, yeah, there was that spot that was kind of empty on the side, but I filled it in with just what I already had. Let me magnetize this. Okay, so this is interesting. This was not what I expected, but I'm keeping this in here anyway because I always love to be honest and transparent with y'all, even when it's the case that something ends up not working out exactly the way that I wanted it to. Now, looking at this, I think, you know, we were all pretty much agree that the one on the right has turned out better. And I think that here I might have accidentally overcorrected a bit and taken off too much polish from the brush. So I think what I probably will need to do, you know what? Let me go back and do this one more time. But without, I'm going to set up another stick, and this time we're going to do this with just the amount that comes out on the brush, not removing any, but also not dipping back in. So I will be right back. All right, I've got a third stick here, and this time I'm just going to take it out. I'm not going to like swoop any off or brush any off in the neck. I think this should work. Okay, there we go. So thin coats. Yes, this looks much better. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I accidentally overcorrected. Let me go ahead and magnetize this one for a minute and then we'll compare. Okay, this is what we ended up with here. Let's bring in the others for comparison. All right, so to recap, to be like the three little piggies or the three golden bears, Goldilocks eating the wolf. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The one on the right was too thick. The one on the left was way too thin. The one in the middle of a coat was just right. So yeah, if any of you can relate to this and, you know, this idea of you or someone who tends to go a little bit heavy-handed with your application, I think that it's going to be something where definitely do some trial and error, but make sure that you don't accidentally overcorrect to the point where you're you haven't put down enough magnetic polish in order for it to have like an even coating there. Now, if I remove that one and just take a look at these two here, I'm not sure if it's showing up in this lighting, but I can absolutely see the difference in how like the one on the right with the thicker coat that I use has more of like a greenish look to it, which means, you know, I put more bog dweller down on there. Whereas the one on the left, I'm seeing it spread out more in a way that shows through to the blue cream underneath. So I thought that was really interesting to see there. So yeah, let's go on to the next one. So now let's talk about top coats. The first one, I don't really have like a visual for it because it's going to kind of tie into the rest of it. But the next strategy I would say is to allow for even more drying time in between coats. My preference is when working with fine particle magnetics would be about 5 to 7 minutes of drying time. If I were to go back to like what I mentioned when I'm going across my nails and everything, you know, as I'm going through and painting my nails and then I come back and I'm like, all right, now I'm ready to put on top coat. Generally, I think on a regular basis, that would probably be about 2 to 3 minutes of dry time for each nail. But you know, that works fine for regular polish. But I think when you're working with the fine particle magnetics, bump it up to about 5 to 7. That I have found really makes it so that it's a lot easier to work with and get the desired end result. Also, on the topic of top coat, this applies to, I think, yeah, all 3 of the remaining ones that I've got here. These tips apply to not just fine particle magnetics, but also to regular magnetics too. Use a toluene-free top coat. There's something about toluene that can cause the magnetic effect to disperse and kind of ruin the nice pretty effect that you work so hard to get. When I'm using magnetic nail polish, my preferred option is this one, the Sally Hansen Advanced Hard as Nails Strengthening Top Coat. I know many people prefer the Sally Hansen Quick Dry Top Coat that's in the red bottle. I used that before. I personally prefer this one because I think that it has a slightly thicker formula that I prefer and gives a slightly harder finish to the nail once it's fully dried down. However, what I do not like about this top coat, aside from the fact that I closed it too tight the last time I opened it, is this brush. I mean, I don't like this brush. It is very difficult for me to work with. So what I have done, and when I use this one, I have this bottle from Cracked. I previously used their quick dry top coat, didn't really care for it fully, so I just used all of that up. And now when you see me use this bottle, it's me having poured this in here, and I'm using the Sally Hansen one inside of the Cracked bottle. My typical quick dry top coat that I use without when I'm not working with magnetics is this Glisten and Glow top coat. But you know, a pro tip, if this is one that you also have been using, I now basically refill this bottle by, wow, that came in like real big. I have from this wholesaler DNT, the Quick Dry Glossy Polish Top Coat. And if you see here on the ingredients, yes, this one does contain toluene. So as much as I enjoy this top coat, I do not use it with magnetics because of the fact that it contains toluene. So we're going to do a little experiment here. I've got these 2 sticks here of the magnetics, and I'm going to magnetize each of them. I think the left I'm going to do with the Sally Hansen. The right I'm gonna do with the toluene one, and I'm gonna come back and we will compare. And when I say I'm gonna come back, I'm actually gonna come back. I'm gonna give it like maybe about 10 minutes or so, because I've done this test before for a different video. I know what this is going to look like after some time has set in, and I want you all to really be able to see exactly why it is not recommended to use a toluene based top coat with magnetics. So I'll be back. Before I pop away for some time, just want to come back in to show you, here's how each of these looks immediately after I have put on top coat and magnetized them for 1 minute. On the left, we've got the Sally Hansen without toluene, which is the recommended one that I prefer. And then on the right is the top coat with toluene. And the reason why I'm showing you this here before I go away and like come back and then show you is that, like, you know, when you're doing your nails and like, let's say you have used a toluene containing top coat, you might not realize that there's anything wrong with it initially because this still looks cute, right? But I promise once I come back, you'll see. Okay, so I know I said I was gonna like step away for like 10 minutes, but it's only been about 6, and I'm already seeing the change that I knew was gonna happen, that I wanted to illustrate for you. Now, if you're taking a look at what we've got here from this angle, you might not be noticing anything yet. But okay, so to recap, on the left, I used the Sally Hansen top coat, no toluene. This is the recommended one. On the right, I use the top coat that does contain toluene. This is going to be the no-go. So let's take a look at the one that no toluene. She looking good, you know, looking how we are at all these angles here. That magnetic line is staying crisp. Sorry, that seemed very aggressive, but just kind of take this in, okay? Right? All right. Now, let me pull this up, and I'm trying to be dramatic here and do the reveal. So here is the one with toluene. Still might be thinking, nope, nothing's wrong. But then when she turns to the side, oh, what is girl. Okay, maybe it was just that side. Maybe she's like Mariah Carey and wants one side to be the only side. Oh, that side too. And also, if you take a look from the bottom, like, it is just, yeah, like, just for comparison, from like, I think right here is gonna be what shows you that difference. Seriously, y'all, take a screenshot of this, have it in your phone to send to anybody when they're like, why should you not use a toluene based top coat with magnetic polish? And it is because this on the right was only like 6 minutes after I put the top coat on. So you can only imagine how much worse this is probably going to become once, you know, you've had your nail polish on for like a day or something like that. So please, if you do not already have a toluene-free top coat, I highly recommend this one from Sally Hansen. You can get it in just about any drugstore, and yeah, it's for just like a few dollars. My next recommendation for working with fine particle magnetics, but really any kind of polish, not just magnetics, make sure that you are regularly adding thinner into your top coat. What can happen, and let's see if this is kind of getting goopy. I think I recently put thinner in here, so I'm not seeing it occur, but you know what can happen as you use any nail polish over time, but especially your top coat, as you take your, you know, as you take the brush out and expose the polish in there to air, some of the solvents inside of the bottle start to evaporate, and that can be what causes the polish or the top coat to start to take on a bit of a like gummy, a more gummy kind of texture and quality. That can be difficult to work with, and that can also make it difficult to work with in general, but especially when you're working with fine particle magnetics. So regularly add thinner in. If you're someone who shops with KB Shimmer, they sell these the Restoration Drops polish thinner in the bottles like this. Has a nice little flip top so that you can just, you know, easily drop that into your bottle. And if we take a look at the ingredients here, there's a lot going on here. There we go. All right, contains butyl acetate, and I've been using this bottle a lot, but that says ethyl acetate. Now, those are the two ingredients that you want to look for when you are purchasing thinner. So just like I had the DNT quick dry top coat that I buy in bulk, I also buy my thinner from them now and just keep filling up my KB Shimmer bottle. So this is the DNT nail polish thinner. Both this one and the quick dry top coat I get in the 16 fluid ounce bottle size. Lasts forever. And looking here, you can see, yep, ingredients: contains butyl acetate, ethyl acetate. If you decide to buy a thinner from another brand, that's totally cool, but in my experience, just make sure that these are really the only two ingredients that you want to have in a thinner. Also, make sure that when you're thinning a polish, you're using thinner and not acetone, because that can and will ruin your nail polish. Last thing, I know I've mentioned this before, but if you buy these bottles like I have, I encourage you to write thinner and top coat on the top of them. These bottles look exactly alike at quick glance, and so the last thing I want is to, you know, mix them up. So yeah, add thinner into your top coat. And the final strategy that I want to share today is to apply your top coat by floating it over your nail. Okay, so when I say floating it over your nail, I know this may sound silly, but because I am someone who often has like very literal patterns of thinking, like it's something with me where like there's no rhyme or reason as to why sometimes I will take things completely 100% literally and often struggle with understanding the meaning of things, and other times I'm totally cool. But like, if you can relate to that, I just want to say I don't mean like float like that, you know. It sounds silly, but I'm just saying. So what that means is, instead of you taking the polish and like putting the top coat over your nail in a way where the brush of the top coat is like pressing down onto the nail, you want to do it in a way where the brush for the top coat is really just touching the top coat and being spread across the nail that way. So let me illustrate what I mean. I'm going to use the one on the left as the here's what to do, and the one on the right as here's what not to do. Also, I just had to pop in and show y'all our toluene over here. She getting worse. She getting worse. Just saying, don't do it. Okay. So if you are just applying top coat like regular, I'll see, hopefully I can, and also I kind of nicked this over there, just disregard that little bump that you see. So if I were just kind of doing this like any other polish, you see how like I'm like really pressing that down on there like that. You know, that's kind of how I would do it, and that's fine. I'm not going to go through and magnetize these because this demonstration is more so just about the application of top coat. So you don't want to do it like you're sweeping up some leaves or something like that. Instead, what I would encourage you to do would be to take your top coat, you put it on your nail, and then what you'll do is kind of use the brush to guide the top coat across the nail. It's a fine balance, right? It's a fine art to it that it can be very difficult to kind of explain from these angles, but it's basically the difference of, as much as possible, have it be where your brush is really only making contact with that layer of top coat that you have just put down, as opposed to being like blump and just going all the way across like that. So yeah, and then, hopefully you do all these things and you will have wonderful fine particle magnetic nails. So let's go ahead and get wrapped up. So those are the strategies that I would recommend when working with fine particle magnetics. And oh, wait, the toluene stick has come over to join us for the outro. Oh, girl, you looking a little bit rough. Like, seriously, y'all, can you see from here? Like, it's gotten worse. Okay, do you have anything you want to say to the crowd? Meh. Okay, well, you know, it's, you know, magnetics can be, I think, can give you some of the best, like most gorgeous and stunning nail polish effects, but can be some of the most challenging things to work with. So I really do hope that these strategies can give you all some ideas for things to do to level up your magnetic game. And my suggestion would be, you know, if you are finding that you're really struggling, please do not overwhelm yourself and feel like you need to start incorporating every single one of these things into your process immediately. Please, like, assess your situation first, right? And then decide on like maybe one or two areas where you might want to focus on improving first. I say this because I think that for anything where you're trying to make a change and have some improvements, it can be really challenging and overwhelming to try to modify everything all at once. So this video will always be here for you to come back to and revisit. So please don't rush yourself to change everything overnight. I would love to hear if any of you have any other strategies that I didn't include in this video. Like, I mean, as much as I enjoy the look of fine particle magnetics, I don't always often use them because I don't always have the time and the patience to use them in a way that will give me the desired result. Like, I really have to, like, it's got to be a day where I don't have anything on the calendar, where I have a good show to put on, I've got a good snack to munch on or something like that, you know? So let me know, for those of you who say, like, if Bog Dweller or Blade of the Frontiers are polishes that you wear all the time, I would love to hear what works for you. And yeah, so now that I have filmed this video, please be on the lookout for, at some point soon, I will be filming the Fancy Gloss Fine Particle Magnetic Topper video that I talked about. I also kind of want to keep this stick around just to kind of like scare people with. I don't know. Like, who am I going to scare with this? Like, I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, as always, thank you all so much for being here on this channel and, you know, spending your a little bit of your day to play with magnetic polish with me. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.